What's up, fam? This is the day the Lord has made, and we're here to rejoice and be glad in it. I want to welcome you to Hope TV, and we certainly appreciate you for tuning in today. You're watching the Marriage Matters broadcast, and we've been going at this strong now over 4 months.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
crazy.
wow.
Yeah, it's been over 4 months since COVID started. We introduced our vision. I gave my vision for Hope TV on March 16th, March 24th. We did the first airing of Marriage Matters, and man, thank you so much for those who've been tuning into the Hope TV. We appreciate you for your support. Platform, as I said earlier, a little more than 4 months old, and in just 4 months, we've had over 30 million views of our cumulative content. Can you believe that? Yeah, I thought I'm from saying a whole lot, I guess. But yeah, so I want to thank you, those who've been tuning in. I mean, it's amazing. Whether it's Apple TV, Roku, Twitch, Amazon, YouTube, Facebook, Periscope, the House of Hope ATL.com website, edoismith.org website, the House of Hope Atlanta app. However you've tuned in, we're grateful and we appreciate you for your support. It means the world to us, and I want to thank you for that. And if you're watching through a platform now that will allow you to subscribe, to comment, to like, or to share, please do that now. It helps us with our algorithms tremendously. It's funny how, I'm trying to catch up in terms of this whole social media piece, and and your mama is on Facebook watching this.
I know, so I have to be careful.
Isn't that crazy? Whoever would have imagined 85-year-olds be on Facebook, and it's just a whole different day. So, I mean, things are changing. I guess the 85 is the new 65. But anyway, if you can subscribe to the YouTube channels of the House of Hope Atlanta or E. Do It Smith, I thank you for that. As a matter of fact, now you can follow us on social media. We have 3 platforms for the Hope TV. We're now at about 2,200 followers for the Hope TV on Instagram. Man, just amazing. So thank you. So if you can subscribe or follow those pages, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook on Hope TV. Also, House of Atlanta, you can follow us on all things social media as well. We just hit over 50,000 subscribers on YouTube. Hey, y'all, thank y'all so much. That's crazy, isn't it? So thank you for those who subscribe to YouTube. It will allow you to get updates. You can follow the House of Atlanta on Facebook, HOHATL on Instagram and Twitter. So please follow now. Also, yours truly, please follow me on all things social media. I have a platform, the official page of Pastor E. Do It Smith on Facebook, Dr. E. Do It Smith on YouTube, and at E. Do It Smith on Instagram, Twitter, and Periscope. So thank you so very much for your support. It means the world to us. So subscribe, like, comment, and share. It helps with our algorithms tremendously. It's growing by leaps and bounds. We have several sponsors now. Shout out to Face Social, one of our sponsors for Hope TV. Appreciate you guys for all you're doing to help us to spread this platform. It means the world to us as well. So please follow now, subscribe, like, comment, and share on all things social media. Help us to get this message out. We thought this show was going to be, you were doing it for the women's ministry back in March,
Right.
And we thought it was just going to be for married couples, and now you got single people, you got people who are in situationships, people who in everything watching this now, and it's a blessing. So we're excited to have you. So Andrea has been producing this show, and she's worked this thing out today with some of our producers. So we're excited. What do you think about the show today?
I am excited about these 2 couples.
Yeah,
Very excited.
it's gonna be amazing. So we're happy. One couple has done so much in terms of ministry and mental health and counseling in the political landscape. He's a colleague and a brother. I want to welcome the Mays to our show today, Pastor Lee and Robin May. What's up, fam? How y'all doing?
Hey,
Hey,
how
y'all!
y'all doing?
How y'all doing?
It
This
is
is gonna be
so
great.
exciting to
Thank you
be
so
with
very much.
y'all.
Thanks for being with us. And we're also excited to have our second couple here. It's an amazing couple who's met and are doing a whole lot in terms of business and marketing and branding and ministry. We're excited to have Maurice and Janice Anderson, who's part of our show tonight too. Welcome, Anderson.
Hey, y'all.
How's everyone doing? Glad to have you guys here. Thanks so much. And so we have the Mays, and we have the May and the Anderson family here on with us tonight, and family. So I'll let you get started with our first customary question.
Yes, so the first question is for the ladies because we know where the truth comes from. Ladies, we'll start with you, Robin. Tell us how you guys
Yes.
met and how he, ran you down on campus and that kind of thing. And then we'll go to Janice.
Okay, so I was minding my own business, okay? This was approximately 27 years ago, babe.
27.
So I cannot believe it because I know I look teenagerish. So 27 years ago, Lee and I both arrived on the campus of the Clark Atlanta University, and we were just kind of hanging out on the stoop. So his dorm and my dorm were right next to each other, and we would all gather on the stoop. And you guys may not know this because he is so, what's the word I would say? He's so chill now, but back then he was super, super hype. And he was just really acting really wild out on the stoop. And so I started telling him to chill out. I told him he needed to chill out. And from there, he fell in love. I mean, that's how I tell the story. But no, really. So we met freshman year at Clark Atlanta University, at the Clark Atlanta University, on the stoop in 1993. Now, when y'all are ready for me to tell y'all the real deal of how he started to pursue me, we'll get into that later.
Lee, Pastor Man, Pastor, we
Call me Lee.
Yeah, okay. We heard all the shenanigans, but we also know that, she's been studying psychology and she's been doing counseling and those things for a long time, and psychiatry and those stuff. So we know she plays some psychological games on you in order to pull you in. So would you just tell us the truth? Tell us, I want to hear the true side of the story of what happened 27 years ago.
So,
give me the real deal.
So here's the deal. Here's the deal. So
stay safe.
We have a real close friend who actually, before she and I met on the same stoop,
oh my gosh,
she gave me her number.
Oh my gosh.
And somehow between the stoop and my dorm that night, I lost her number.
Thank God.
And so we know God was in the midst of all this, because had I held on to that number, the circumstances,
maybe this is a Christian show,
and situations may have changed. I was 17 years old,
okay,
so I'm just telling the truth, right? And she, she made me wait 8 years. No, 8 years before we got married. We literally dated, and I always joke and say I don't count college years because I was 17 years old when we met. Like, I can't count 17 as official years of when we dated, but we got married 8 years later, and we have.
We're not going to talk about how he
girls.
Proposed and called off the wedding, but that's a whole nother conversation.
That's just,
oh, we're gonna get there.
No worry about that. We had the location.
It was all in God's timing, and my submissive wife just needed to hear from the Lord. Right? Clearly, she wasn't hearing from the Lord and wanted to go on her own time. But me and the Lord were on the same page, and as a result, we've been married happily for 18 years.
Now we can agree with that.
That's the story.
Okay. So Janice, tell me how he ran you down and just forced you to be his wife.
Well, actually, Maurice and I were introduced by a mutual friend, and Maurice don't know this behind the scenes. First of all, he gonna tell another story. Let's go ahead and say that. He gonna say we met before. Y'all know how when you meet somebody, ladies, y'all understand this, and you be like, that don't count. So I don't count the first time we met, but we did meet before this story I'm about to tell y'all. So let's go with this story right here, okay? Go with this one. So we have a mutual friend, and he was like, Janice, are you accepting suitors? And the way I was set up at that time, I was like, nah, who is it? I'll let you know if you tell me who it is. He kept saying, are you accepting suitors? I'm like, who is the suitor? And I'll tell you yes or no. So finally, the person who was requesting on his behalf wore me down. And I said, yes. He said, well, then Mo is this great guy. And he said all these amazing things about Maurice. And guess what? He's going to be in Dallas at the same time that you're going to be in Dallas. And so I was like, okay. He said, maybe you guys can get together. And when we were in Dallas, I was there for one of Bishop Jakes' conference. Maurice was there for work. We met for dessert. Oh, because he wanted to take me to dinner, but Bishop had a meet and greet, and I didn't even know him. So I was like, I want to meet Bishop Jakes. So I'm going to the meet and greet. I meet you for dessert. So I met him for dessert. Maurice came. He was so sweet. He had a gift. Do you remember that?
I do.
Do you know what you got me?
I don't.
Okay, he got me a scarf. It was so sweet. He was like, I was just out at the mall.
It's been so many gifts, honey.
It has been so many gifts. That's right. So he was like, I was out at the mall, and I just saw this, and I thought this would be nice for you. I hope you like it. It's like, he's winning. And we talked that night for about 3 hours over dessert. And do you remember it happening like that?
Yes, that part is correct. There was a pre-meeting, and at church, right? So we actually were attending the same church at this also, and I think we met. But for both of us, it wasn't in that context of looking for someone. I think that's probably what she was saying. So that's pretty accurate. You're doing well so far.
Thank you.
That's the first time the man has agreed with the woman. So you must have been nice to her or something. You just got to be.
Now, I will say, Pastor, that there were, now, if you leave it up to, there are about 4 people who actually takes credit for introducing us. Now, we don't understand quite that, but we actually met Lee and Robin. So Robin, let me just tell you about it. They came over to the house. And Pastor, you were talking about this before. She tried to give me the 3rd degree, but she didn't know I already had 6 sisters. I was already hip to her game. So we just laughed at the end. I was like, okay, I guess I'm going to have to go through this gauntlet here.
You was looking out for my friends.
Like, leave me alone.
That's amazing. Lee, you and Robin have been, amazing in terms of so many things you've done in the community that I've witnessed and been a part of it. Lee, I think when I met you, you were on the DeKalb County Commission, or you were pursuing.
Yeah, I was like 17 or something. That was a long time ago.
Yeah,
I was on the county.
Yeah, and Robin will be doing some counseling things and appearances on the radio. But I think we actually knew of you through the Jenkins, because I think we're close to Charles and Tara Jenkins, and so I think Tara
and Robin.
Tara, you and Robin, you and Tara.
One of my best friends. And actually, how about what's so funny? We met Charles, Tara and I and Lee all met Charles at the same time 27 years ago.
Wow. Crazy.
So that's the connection here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think I remember that wedding because at the wedding. Good. So I want to talk about what you've done in DeKalb and in terms of ministry, lead, politics, business owner, and you, Robin, in terms of what you're doing in the area of mental health. So I want to hear a little bit about that.
So we moved to DeKalb County right after college. So we graduated in 97 and 98. I was on that extra year plan, but we moved to DeKalb. Our church was in DeKalb. We grew up at New Birth, and we were there for like 16 years, and just really got committed into the community. Ended up starting a business. We owned a movie theater in DeKalb. At the time, we were the youngest movie theater owners in the country. Only one of 3 Black-owned movie theaters in the country. I got licensed and ordained at our church, and Robin was working there in ministry at the time. And we've grown up together, as a young couple, even before we got married, and grew up in ministry. And somehow I got tricked into getting into politics. Literally, I got hoodwinked into running for office. And we've just really leaned really hard into serving in the community. And then I'll let Robin talk about, but just her passion of just helping people really just grew. And next thing I know, I'm married to the next Oprah, and my new life goal is to be the next Stedman, because I'm married to the next Oprah.
I mean, when I tell you he is serious about it, I promise you, between him and my father in love, they are my number one support system. They cheer me on. So yeah, like he said, we owned the movie theater, and then we transitioned from the movie theater into Lee being in politics, and then we transitioned from politics to him pastoring. We've only been pastoring now for September will make 3 years. Yeah. But what's so interesting about that, y'all, is I can see how God was growing us up, not only personally, but growing us up in our marriage through each of those areas. Yeah. I mean, because all 3 have been challenging. It's been a blessing, but all three has stretched us and challenged us. And what's so unique, I believe, about our journey is so much of our experiences end up on the front page of the news, right? Because when you are owning a movie theater, of course, that's all over the paper. When you're in politics, the good and the not so good is all over the paper. When you are in ministry, after running a whole county and you transition into ministry, they're going to put that in the paper. And so often, we've not only had to navigate life privately, but we've had to navigate a lot of it publicly, which can have its own unique stressors as well. And like he said, I used to work in ministry at New Birth. I worked there for almost 10 years. And I remember seeing people coming in needing counseling. And I strongly believe in Christian counseling. I think it's very necessary. But then I also think you need some clinical support. And so I started to see that and became very passionate about it and went back to school, got my master's in counseling, and have been doing that work ever since. Really, really passionate. Like, I'm a little bit obsessed with helping women walk in their purpose and helping couples experience the marriage God has ordained for them. And so in ministry, it has been a perfect blend of all of that.
Next Oprah, I'm telling you. Next Oprah, I'm telling you.
Maurice and Dennis, I want you all to talk about, what you do. I mean, how you grew up, where you from. Give us your stories. Start with you, Janice.
Okay, well, so I'm from Savannah. I am the oldest of 5. This is the good part. But I'm from the hood. Y'all know that about me. I'm from the hood. I just have to go to school, be educated. I love Jesus. I got a great education, but I'm low-key ghetto if you push me there. so that's that. But I've had the fortunate opportunity over the years to work with visionary leaders and help them to build, brand, and expand their visions. And it started out, Andrea, when I was working with pastors and Christian leaders. Pastor, you were one of the first who gave me a chance. I was leading the evangelism ministry, and in my regular, non-scared of Negroes or Negroettes way, I just was going out and just spreading the gospel. And I mean, sometimes I was breaking the rules, and I was like, you know what if I could take this gospel message and lay it over my secular education and get it out? Would it work? And so I would try all these tactics that I learned in school and that I would do in my corporate job, in my ministry work. And it took me very far. And Pastor E. Dewey, a long time ago, gave me a chance and allowed me to just kind of work in marketing at church. And so then that took me, who knew that my work that I did at church would take me to doing it in the marketplace. And so my first brand was a ministry marketing mentor, where I would help pastors and Christian leaders expand their reach without compromising their message. And now here we are 12 years later. I'm doing that in a consulting capacity, and that's my main gig. And it's not only pastors and Christian leaders, but it is visionary leaders. And now it's not just expand their reach, it's build, brand, and expand.
Awesome. See why I'm here? It's amazing. And it's a pleasure meeting you all. I'm too very similar, I think, in some ways. I'm a 4th generation pastor's kid. As a matter of fact, my great grandfather was one of the ones that was started on Azusa Street. So you can imagine just a long history from a pedigree standpoint. My father is now not here, but 12 years ago he passed. But he was a bishop of a large organization. So I'm absolutely a pew baby, a Pentecostal, apostolic pew baby.
Yeah.
So for all you all know, you really know what that means, right? And so my heart, my love is all about kingdom, about God. But I'm thankful that the Lord allowed me to, I grew up in a large family. I have 6 sisters and 2 brothers. And at one point for 2 years of my life, we actually were all in the same house with 1 bathroom. So learning how to cope, yes, I got that T-shirt, and just all of that. And but then fast forward, went to University of Georgia, go Dogs, and graduated there, and been into management consulting for pretty much most of my career from a corporate standpoint. So I work now for Accenture one of the executive leaders there for helping drive their talent and organization division for corporations around the world. But really, my heart is really around helping people. You know, I've served in many pastoral roles. Actually, have a ministry also called the Leadership Church that we've done things virtually now for years. As a matter of fact, I would say when I was living in Chicago back in now early 2000, we actually were doing, and this just happened organically. We had a Bible study call that had almost 2,000 people on in the early 2000s, just because of, and it was just organic. We weren't trying to market it. We weren't trying to build it. So just to see how fast forward to this environment, just so many things. But I just love how God has allowed for me to leverage corporate thought leadership and to converge that into kingdom, into ministry. And that's really where my heart is. And we'll talk a little bit about that probably moving forward.
That's amazing. You know, you talked about being in a house with 6 sisters and 2 brothers. And that's amazing because we've been talking to a lot of couples over the past couple of months about how to navigate it. And this is the first time that we've interviewed couples that have all girls. So 6 sisters, 2 brothers. So Lee and Robin, you're in the house with a teenager. Talk about your girls. I want to hear how you guys have been coping the past 4 or 5 months. COVID with a house full of women, of ladies. And you, Lee, do I need to send you some, you know, a beverage or a pill or something? So let's talk about
That's offline. That's offline.
So how about we are really looking for another house, right? And one of the things he and I keep butting heads about is because we both want a basement. Like, we're like, wherever we move, we need there to be a basement. But I'm thinking the basement is going to be the kids area. The basement is going to be the family area. He's like, no, I'm getting a basement for the man cave. Now, I'm going to say this. This is the first time I'm going to say this.
Oh, Lord.
This is breaking news, baby. I really think you deserve a basement because I'm being serious. I really think you deserve a basement because I will tell y'all this. And this is the first time I've said this publicly, so let me take a deep breath. I am the marriage therapist, right? I'm the person between us who does a lot of the marriage work. But I would put a lot of the health and the longevity of our marriage, I would put the blessing of that at his feet.
No.
I really would,
No.
because if anybody had the ability to navigate all of me, all that comes with Robin May, and our 3 daughters who are 13, 11, and 6, baby, your temperament is a huge reason that that house runs the way it runs. And so I just wanted to say that publicly.
No, thank you. Well, if y'all pray, and I know y'all are all men and women of God, so just say Lee May's name, you know, every now and then. Just throw me in there every now and then, because having a house full of women. First of all, it's so much. It's not irony, but God just has a sense of humor, because God knew how much I wanted all boys. I didn't want any girls. Like I didn't. When I thought of having a girl, I would just bust out into sweat. And I'm talking about when I was a teenager, just thinking about eventually having kids, I didn't want one girl. And so to have a house full of girls, and here's the thing. So my wife calls me Mr. Inappropriate, but I'm gonna just say it. This is what y'all have to pray about, right? The fact that at some point in my life, I will have 4 women that will be experiencing a certain time of the month, likely at the same time.
Yes, sir.
Pray for me. That's all I'm saying.
I knew we was about to go there.
Let's just hope they land on the same week.
Oh my God.
I'm going to have to be a referee.
Can somebody please
I'm going to have to be a referee. I'm going to have to be like a facilitator, of issues that may arise in my house.
So I will say this though. It is so ironic because we're not gonna say ironic. We know that it is God, but all 3 of those girls demonstrate a different aspect of who I am. And he already finds himself having to navigate. Like my oldest daughter, her mouth is out of control.
Robin number 2.
The sarcasm is unbelievable. My middle baby is so sensitive. Every little thing hurts her feelings. Robin number 2.
But she's a gymnast.
But she's a
Just
gymnast like
her
me,
mama.
right?
Yeah.
And then my baby, when she walks in the room, she thinks the world is supposed to revolve around her. She walks in, is like, here I am. Robin number 3.
And she's light skinned with gray eyes. I don't know where she came from.
Yes.
I don't know who. No, I know. We had issues.
So Maurice,
And so, it's been a very interesting dynamic. But again, I say in all sincerity, my husband lives at 5 and I live at 10. And his 5 keeps the calm. And literally, just this morning, he was walking the girls through folding the towels because he didn't like how they were folding the towels. And I'm sitting over there on the couch about to lose it because I did not like their attitude. I felt like they had an attitude while he was trying to explain it to them. But he kept his temperament, and I did everything I could. I said one comment, but I did everything I could just to keep myself from being in the mix of it because he knows how to handle their moods.
And then let me end it on this. As much as I wanted a boy, all boys, I love being a daddy to girls. I mean, I got it like that. I get it. I love it, and I wouldn't want anything different from that. So.
That's beautiful.
So Maurice, let me ask you. Let me go to you first, because you guys have a blended family. You have one that's grown, one that's probably at this stage in life thinks she's grown, and then you have the baby.
Right.
So how are you guys?
Amen.
How are you dealing? How are you dealing with that? Because I know they love you to death. I mean, it's like they love you to death. So how did you? How did you? They accept you? How did you?
Well, I
accept them?
say those people that Pastor Lee had asked for prayer. So can you send? Can y'all send a little bit of those prayers my way as well? So wow, I mean so you're right. So we have a 20-year-old that's in college. We have an 11-year-old who really, I tell her all the time, I'm like, Jada, I need to work for you because you know everything. Like, it's nothing you don't already know. So I need to work for you, right? So we have that one. And then we have Journey Monet, who will be 4 months next Sunday. And all of this, you all, and we have this one here too. I'm sorry, but so, man, Lee, I actually, man, when you said that, I was like, I actually thought the same thing. Like, if they can all just do whatever they're gonna do the same time, it just makes so. I just tell myself, man, you just gotta ride the wave, because if you try to follow every wave of everything that's happening, like, you'll be absolutely crazy. And so I'm thankfully 51, and I don't know what I was thinking, talking about having a baby, right? A real baby. I still wake up and I'm like, honey, we actually have a baby, right? So it's been beautiful, and but yeah, it's never no days off, and but honestly, I see how it's making me a better man, because it really just causes you to really just have that balance and just that steadiness. And I just try to be real consistent. And it's that type of consistency that's important for how we just navigate each day, because it's so many things that's happening all the time. And brothers, we know that it can change by the minute with each person. And so I just try to be consistent, and I'm still learning how to best meet their needs and at the same time make things happen. But Lee, I do co-sign you on you having your man cave in your basement, man. That was a lifesaver for me.
Listen, our whole downstairs of our house is dedicated to Maurice, and I think that's the main reason he can tolerate all of us. Now, I low-key feel some kind of way, because I need my own space too. I mean, it's not just that he needs space from the girls. I need space from him, the children. So I need a basement. Like, where's my basement?
It's called the bedroom. The bedroom.
Absolutely.
Who said that? Who made that rule? Who made that rule? Because see, this is the thing. No one comes into the basement, but everybody comes into our bedroom. Baby, when do they come in there?
All the time.
I don't come in there. I don't come in there.
So let me ask you something, Janice, because you
Okay.
guys have a blended family, and I
Yes.
love your relationship with that your girls have with Maurice. I love the way your family has blended together. So, when did you introduce the girls to Maurice, and just how did you guys make this thing work? Just it seems seamlessly.
I know what you mean. Well, actually, Andrea, that was really important to me. I've been married before, and so it was important to me that before I made the decision to introduce whoever I was dating to my children, that I was good with them. And I remember one time, honey, you remember we were talking about this, and he was like, well, when am I going to meet the girls? And I was like, I got to see if I like you first. So I don't know how much I like you. And based on whether I really like you, then I'd introduce you to the girls because, you know, kids are very impressionable. And my girls, especially at the time, my youngest was in the house, my middle, she attaches very quickly. So I wanted to make sure that he was stable, that we got along. I needed to understand that his role, I mean, we had a conversation before he met the girls about the type of role that he would play in their lives. I had a teenager when Maurice and I first started dating, and she has a relationship with her dad. Actually, both of them have relationships with their fathers that are good. And so she didn't need another dad. So the most that he could be to her at that time was like a mentor or a really good friend. And so when I made the introduction, I shared that with him, and he handled it really well. I know that it wasn't very comfortable, but he handled that very well. And then with my youngest daughter, because she was, Jada was four when we met, 4 or 5. Wait, how old was Jada? She was like 5. So I knew that he could be, like he could father her. And so I said, you would have an opportunity there. And after he understood that, you know, then I will be willing to introduce, I have low-key control issues, please excuse me. But after he understood that and expressed the understanding, then he could meet my girls. And Maurice did amazingly well with both of them. I mean, he followed my lead with how to interact with my girls. One of the things, and I don't know that I told you this, but y'all, Maurice married me and I had a teenager. Anybody got any teenagers? Yeah, they have teenage attitudes. You know, they got teenage proclivities, and they do stuff sometimes that make you want to throat punch them and treat them like they adult on the streets. And they don't discriminate. They do it to their parents and they do it to other people. And so Maurice was walking into that with my teenager, who I uprooted from where she lived, her school system, her friends, her church, her sports. And so her teenage attitude was high. And Maurice was really gracious with dealing with her. And I didn't have to consistently remind him that she's just a kid, she's just a teen. It's like the Lord just matured him in advance. And he was very safe for them. He was safe for them. And he's been safe for me. He's been safe for me to kind of grow through stuff. And to grow through those stages, fast forward now, Maurice and I, this year's our 5th year of marriage.
Yes.
And one of the things that was important to us is that minimally we follow the guidelines, because they say it takes 7 years for a family to blend. But I feel like we expedited that 7-year period. My children, with no coercion from me, celebrate Maurice, and they look at him as a second father. And that is not something I did. He built that relationship himself just by doing what he said, being consistent. He's been very consistent. And he honored the boundaries that I was establishing for my girls. I knew my girls. And so it was up to me to share with Maurice things about them, their attitude, their way, what they're really saying and not saying, because, you know, they are a perfect combination of me. One is really direct, and 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 one is very sensitive. And the direct one would think, you know, when we're direct, people think we're cold and callous and things don't affect us because we're so direct. but they do. And so you got to learn how to read those clues and navigate that thing. You know, she'll come off kind of standoffish, but really she's just a big teddy bear. And that's Maurice's ace, actually.
Yes. Well, all of them are at certain points. And just want to kind of go back to the part when I'd ask about when I would meet the girls at the time, Jasmine and Jada. It wasn't so much that I was wanting to push meeting them ahead of time, but I really wanted to see how Janice interacted with her girls more so, because
That's good.
for me it was more of a she thought it was more about me, but it was actually more about her and how she interacted. How was she as a mother? Because I had an excellent example as a mother from my mother, so I wanted to see how their relationship was, because I knew if their relationship wasn't really in a good place, it's no way that I would have been able to do that. And then I think the other part of that for me was the fact that I knew that I had to extend enough love and energy and time, not just for her. Because a lot of times you think you're just marrying that person, but you're marrying each of them. And when I proposed to Janice, I was very nervous. I literally proposed to each of them. I proposed to Janice and the girls, like separately. And so, and that meant a lot to me. So that was really a part of that, not to rush it, but just to say, hey, you know, I know it's just not you, and then not just ignore the children. So
he really did good.
Maurice, I'm so glad that you didn't meet the girls too early, because Janice couldn't do hair. So
I couldn't do
you
hair.
might not have married her. If you had seen her, she used to wear like Jasmine's hair, you might not have married her. So I'm glad you waited until she learned how to do hair better.
you know, so First Lady, when we found out we were having a girl, I had already started watching YouTube videos of how I was gonna have to do Journey's hair. Real story, that's true.
He's telling the truth. He is telling the truth, because y'all know that's not my gift. That's not my area of giftedness, and I just went ahead and let him know I'm not good at that.
You know, it's amazing here how beautifully you've been able to weave, you know, that together. Andre and I got married 25 years ago in March. 25 years ago, March. And when we got married, our story was not as beautiful or not as smooth. As a matter of fact, my oldest sisters, you watch the movie Dumb and Dumber? That's a great description of my sisters when I got married. And they had some very intense discussions in church between Andre and my sisters initially. Tough conversations. And and by the grace of God, it turned out beautifully, but it started smoothly. Robin, you said something earlier that I thought was beautiful. You talked about how Lee and Lee's father have been huge supporters of you. I think that's a great lesson and some encouragement, because you got a lot of people who don't have these stories, whether it be blended family, whether it be dealing with in-laws. I mean, sometimes the in-laws are outlaws. Tell us, how did Lee's father, his family, make that smooth? What was his approach? What did you do? And Lee, maybe you can chime in too, and then maybe give us some insight, those who are watching who have some difficulty finding that peace. What would you suggest?
Well, you know, one of the things, Lee and I have been together, we've been married 18 years and we have been together 25 years. Is that right, babe? 27 years. So we've grown up together. That's very important. So his parents have watched me grow up. My parents have watched him grow up. And I remember something that was very interesting. Remember, I did share that Lee proposed and he called off the wedding. And I always bring it up. He's like, are you going to ever let that go? Okay? I always bring it up. But I believe it was such a God moment for us in so many ways. But one of the things that my father told my husband when we got married, he told him, listen, I'm giving my daughter's hand to you in marriage. If there becomes an issue, if there is a challenge, it's your responsibility to come to me, not Robin. I don't want her to have to come to me. I want you to. And that really set the foundation for our dynamics with our parents. We have to give them credit as well. They have been very intentional about not trying to dictate what happens in our marriage. Like I said, my husband, my father in love, and my father, they are Like they are such cheerleaders to me. It's almost like, oh my God, give me a minute. I'm going to do it. They feel like I can do anything.
Yeah.
So in that mindset, though, it's interesting because Janice talked about the fact that when you're dealing with a blended family, regardless if it's children or blending our families together, researchers have said that it can take up to 7 years for a couple to fully blend. Now, again, we know the Holy Spirit can come in and make that a much shorter time. But what I would tell a couple who's dealing with, we say in love, who are dealing with in love challenges, I want to say this first of all. There are 5 areas that are commonly the issue that shows up in marriage. 5 areas. And if you've been married longer than a week, one of these 5 you have dealt with. It is, many therapists would say in loves, but what I have found, outside influences, period. Whether it's your in-laws, whether it's your best friend, whether it's outside influences, money, how you raise children, roles and responsibilities, and leisure activities. So I say that to the couples watching just so they can take a deep breath. Because if you can say, okay, wait a minute, we're not crazy. You're going to deal with one of those 5 issues. So if your issue happens to be challenges with your in-laws, this is the number 1 wisdom I would give. I need couples to do whatever they can to protect their connection. So y'all, people come in my office, they sit down on my couch and they say, Robin, we can't communicate. And that's the issue they often think it is. But y'all remember the Verizon commercial. The guy would walk around saying, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? It wasn't an issue with the words. It was an issue with the connection. And when we lose our connection, we are giving other influences, those from the outside, an opportunity to come in here. And so we have to protect our connection at all costs. It's almost like building a fortress around your marriage. And listen, that fortress doesn't mean that you don't get support. That fortress doesn't mean that you don't get wise counsel, because it's foolish to do marriage alone. But that fortress is saying you and your spouse together are being clear about who you're inviting in. And so you got to protect this connection. And if you're in love and if your parents, your spouse's parents understand that, they will begin to respect the boundary you set. So what does that look like practically? And I'll stop because I'm a little bit obsessed with this. But what that looks like practically is, when there is an issue, if there happens to be an issue that I'm having with my mother-in-law or my father-in-law, if there were to be an issue, because of our connection, because we're protecting our connection at all costs, he'll handle it because those are his parents. If there becomes an issue with my parents, I'll handle it because I am honoring this connection at all costs. And so I'm going to make sure that I'm addressing my parents, my father, my mother. And that's an important way to start out your marriage. And listen, if you haven't been doing it that way, can I challenge you to hit reset and start doing it that way so that you are protecting this at all costs?
And then let me say this about her dad. Her dad really helped me and taught me when we first, before we got married, because I noticed. So you, Pastor, talked about me and my father being her biggest cheerleader, because we are, and it's not like a crazy because it's my wife, I'm a cheerleader. It's like, no, legit, she is the truth, and she's good, and so, but her father was one of her biggest cheerleaders, and I looked at him and I was like, well, you know what? I'm not gonna let her dad out cheer me for her, in terms of who she is. And he's this big, he believes she can do anything. And my dad is anything, and my dad is the same way. And so we're blessed to have both sides of our family love one another. They talk to each other. My parents and her parents talk to each other more than we talk to my parents and she talks to her parents. It's crazy. Yeah. It's a weird dynamic, but it's great for us in our marriage, and prayerfully we can continue that with our children and whoever they eventually.
And I want to say really quickly again to what you said, both of you all said, that's not always everybody's story.
Right.
And that's the reason why I said, if you have not built your marriage where you protect your and when I say protect your connection, that encompasses 3 things: trust, respect, and personal responsibility. You got to protect that, because when it's all said and done, God's going to hold you accountable to your oneness. He's not going to hold your mother in love or your father-in-law accountable to what happened between the two of you. He's going to hold you accountable to it. And it's okay. Listen, we are pastoring a church. We've only been doing this 3 years. Pastor Smith, you've been in this thing for a long time. So there's some things that you could tell us right now that we would need to go back and hit reset as we continue to build our ministry. So it's nothing to feel ashamed about, because if you haven't been taught it, it's okay. I'm here 15 years in the trenches of doing marriage work, letting you know you got to protect your connection. This is what you have to protect at all costs.
Yeah.
Listen, this has been absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
The insight, the differences in the stories, so inspiring, so encouraging. And those people at home, I hope you've been just blessed. Listen, we didn't get to have the questions, and we're out of time already. You know, y'all got us do part 2. I'm just sorry, you just gotta get to part 2 because this is just getting good.
Yes.
And been so helpful. So thank you for sharing. Listen, we got to close this segment of Marriage Matters. Man, this has been powerful. Please share this link with somebody. We're going to log off, but we're going to come back, I promise you, next week. They've already consented. I asked them on the spot while you guys are watching, so they can't say no because they said it on live. So we're going to close this section of Marriage Matters. We're going to come back same time, same channel next week. The Mays and the Andersons will be back with us. I hope you've been blessed by it. As always, remember this: if you be good to God, God will be good to you. Till next time, peace. Take care.
Bye, y'all.
Yes.